name is Mark Milioni, and it's an honor to get to spend just a few minutes with you. They've asked me to talk about how and why to keep learning, something that we all need to take advantage of if we want to grow. I remember when I came here as the president, it was a total career change. In our world, there was a pastor that has always become president of our college. So I thought this will be fine. I've been very successful as a pastor. I have all of these great pastoral skills, and then I'll just become a great president, right? Well, I quickly learned within the first few weeks, this is a very different job. Some of the leadership skills did transfer, and I used what I could there, but there's so much more to learn that I realized that I didn't know how. I needed to learn. So I did the best thing that I could do, and that's call some people. I called a couple friends of mine that I had acquired over the years that were involved in higher education, and even a couple of presidents. It was very, very helpful. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't stop and realize, what don't I know and how can I make what I'm doing better, you'll be stuck. And so I really wanted to be the best president that I could. So I began learning. I began meeting with guys, I began reading, I began going to conferences, and I did what I could do to learn this world. So today I want to just give you some simple things, 5 simple things about how to keep on learning. What's the best way for you to do this? So let me start by saying this. The Bible says in Proverbs 1:5, a wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. Proverbs 1:5, get that. Look that up. Proverbs 18:5 says, the heart of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Are you doing those things? We're told you need to keep learning. You need to keep growing. So we all have the mentality of, I'm pretty good at this. So I'm going to challenge you today to take a look at your life and learn some things. So just a few thoughts about being a learner, just a few minutes. And I'm going to start with this thought and I'm going to end with this thought. Do what they say. I'm going to challenge you to keep that through everything that we talk about. Do what they say. So often we'll go to a conference and we'll hear something. We'll read a book and we'll see something interesting. We'll talk to somebody and we'll hear something. You might even have a friend or a mentor. I'm challenging you today, whatever we talk about today, you're going to take it and then you have to do what they say. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Do what they say. Okay, you ready? Here we go. The first thing is this. Choose a skill. If there's something in your life you think you want to learn better, choose a skill. This can be something new, or it can be something that you're already doing, but you want to get better at. Here's a simple example from my life. Barb and I live on beautiful 40 acres outside of town, west of town. And when we got out there, I began trying to think about how I can take best advantage of this place. There's woods, there's pasture, there's deer and turkey and all kind of wildlife out there. But I wanted to learn how to raise our own meat. For my family, for us, not to make any money, just to learn how to do it. So I began to think about it and I began to study it out and I decided on raising chickens. But I didn't know how to raise chickens. I'm a city boy. I'm now living out in the country. But I wanted to learn this to bless my very growing family. So I learned. I watched YouTube. I read books. I talked to people. And then I took a risk. And I did it. And now for the past number of years, I'm raising lots of meat chickens every year, and they're fantastic. And thankfully, I began getting my own hens with eggs. Who knew what the prices were going to be doing today? But thankfully, I've got all kind of eggs, at my house. You know what? As a pastor, what is a skill that you can work on? Maybe it's preaching. What do you want to learn? What do you want to improve on? Maybe it's fundraising. Maybe it's facilities. As a young pastor, I had no one around me. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know who to turn to. I had no real help. I heard some great speakers at conferences and I heard some great pastors and I thought, I want to do that. So I began trying to find someone to help me. So I found the next most important thing I could do. The skill was I wanted to be a better preacher. So the second thing that you need to do is find a mentor. Find a mentor. When I sought to become a preacher, I found some guys that were really good at speaking, guys that became a very important part of my life. I found a mentor. In fact, you might recognize his name. I began being mentored by Truman Dollar. He became a very close friend, important part of my life. And that's a story for another day. Then I got to know an older pastor named Howard Sugden. He pastored a great church in Lansing, Michigan, just a little ways away from me. He was best friends with Warren Wiersbe. He was known as a wise preacher. And so I began meeting with him, and he showed me so many things. He showed me how his library was arranged. He showed me how he put together his study. He showed me how he put together his preaching calendar. He showed me how he did his sermon notes. Just some very personal preacher stuff, but it was so helpful to me. I'd never been taught those things. It was such a good friendship. Find a mentor. There are a lot of guys that would welcome the opportunity to help you, to speak into your life, give you some advice, help you look in a direction for some material that maybe you've never thought of before. Find someone that has some expertise or experience in what you want to learn. But as I said earlier, you have to do what they say. If you're just hanging around them to enjoy their company and friendship, a real mentor is going to see real quickly you're really not carrying out what they're there for. So demonstrate that you are listening and do what they say. Apply it to your life. So the third thing is this: honestly evaluate. Honestly evaluate your life. Sometimes after years and years and years in ministry, we think we got it down pretty good. And we can become complacent. And we can become stuck. And just because you have experience doesn't mean that you're doing it right. You can get a lot of experience in doing some things wrong and just keep on doing it because you don't know, because you don't do an evaluation. So honestly evaluate. Take some time and think through this. Where do I need to grow? What can I improve on? How long has it been since I watched myself preach? Since I listened to myself preach? So you can be an experienced pastor, but if you haven't been growing, then you're just doing the same things over and over and over. Do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Think of your ministry. So I do this. I watch other church services all the time. I look and I see, what do I like? What do I hear out of this preacher? How he is saying this, how he put this message together. Think, evaluate yourself, listen, and learn. And that's the fourth thing. Learn to listen carefully. Learn to listen carefully. Sometimes we can be very guilty of listening to what we want to hear. Let me tell you, my pastor friend, sometimes we want to hear what a great sermon that was. What a great message that was. What you need to do is listen carefully to what people are really saying from their heart. When you learn to listen carefully, you can learn what's really going on in people. If a certain point stuck out to a person, it might indicate something is going on there. Sometimes you can learn a lot about a person or a situation just by listening carefully to what they're trying to say. People might say something great, but what they're saying, you need to learn how to discern that. How many times do you find that people really enjoyed that funny story, but totally missed the main point of your message? But you didn't mean for them to just laugh at that story. Maybe you wanted to send a message, but they didn't get it. So listen and learn. Learn how they respond. Learn what they're not responding to. Learn to be the best communicator that you can so that you can make a difference in their life. Sometimes it's a very simple teaching that speaks most to your folks. Maybe they learn from outlines. Maybe they learn from stories. Maybe they learn from hard and loud preaching. Maybe they learn from soft and powerful, slow preaching. So think through those things. Listen to how they respond. Learn how it communicates. This is an idea that came into my head a little while ago. I've been preaching through the Gospel of John for the last year. Listening carefully also means reading the room. You ever do that? It's hard to do while you preach. However, a good example to me is from John 13 to John 14. In John 13, Jesus is washing the disciples' feet at the Last Supper, and then he begins to talk to them, and he tells them some pretty tough things. He challenges them to be faithful. He challenges them to be unified. He challenges them to love one another. Then he tells them he's going away. He tells them some pretty hard things. And then Jesus begins chapter 14. So we all know this. There's no chapter or verse divisions in the original. So this is one conversation. But all of a sudden, Jesus shifts gears from teaching them some direct important things to saying, let not your heart be troubled. Why would he do that? It's because he read the room. And he could see they were hurting. They were scared. So listen carefully to what's going on around you. Listen to see how they're responding, what is going on there. Listen carefully to the advice that you're being given. Listen carefully to what people have to say to you about what that message meant to them. So when we're learning, part of it is reading between the lines and listening very carefully. Now, the last thing is this: embrace curiosity. Embrace curiosity. I think I've probably learned more by accident than by intention. And I think often the Lord will create something in front of us to get our attention. I didn't plan on learning this, but I did. I hadn't planned on studying this, but something grabbed my attention and made me curious in order to find it out. This can be true of people. Just earlier today, before making this video, I was walking through a restaurant and a couple stopped me and talked to me. And they were so kind and nice. I didn't know them, but they used to work here. And they were sharing with me what they have heard and seen about the college. So very, very thankful for what's going on here. But you know what? I didn't know them. I was walking past their table and then they called out to me. And so when I got to meet them, I spent a few minutes and I just asked them, tell me about what you remember here. Tell me who you remember. Tell me what it was like. And it's so important to understand what people are seeing. Embrace their curiosity in things. So let me wrap this all up by emphasizing what I said at the beginning. If you are being given advice, do what they say. We preach that to others every week. We tell them, thus says the Lord. What does the Lord say? Now go do it. Our job, same thing. What are we being told? What are we being taught? Now go do it. So let me encourage you, find a skill, learn it. One of our core values here at Mission University is lifelong learning. We have worked hard to provide an online version of what we do on campus. So let me encourage you, take a class. For me, it took me 20 years, but you know what? Just recently, I have my earned PhD. It took a lot of studying, a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of investment. But learn. And know this, it doesn't just have to be a class from us. It can be a class at your local college or one of our other colleges. Just do it. Because when you get better, we all get better. You make us all better. So let me just close by saying thank you for this time. Love and appreciate you guys. Check out our website, mission.edu. It's got information on Fellowship Week, College Days. College Days is coming up at the end of March. And then Fellowship Week is coming up the last week, first full week of April and May. So come check it out. Come and join us. It's going to be a great time of great teaching, preaching, and fellowship. Special time. So God bless you guys. Thank you for letting me have this time with you.